Well guys, it seems that our channel, as well as other wrestling channels, may be in trouble. Now, we don't do these kind of videos regularly. This is something of a concern and something that we have to address. Now, you may be aware YouTube just paid out a hefty fine for violating the COPPA or COPPA law and its 2013 amendment. But what does this have to do with wrestling channels? Well, as it turns out, it could mean a lot. Now, we must note that none of the information in this video is intended as legal advice. If you are a YouTuber with a channel that presents wrestling content and you have any legal questions, be sure to consult an attorney. But we wanted to shed some light on what could happen, what we know about this law, and how it could affect this channel as well as other wrestling channels. Now, we all know YouTube is a profitable business, deriving advertising dollars from many videos. Creators such as ourselves create content, and the more popular the channel, the more money YouTube can make depending on the audience's demographics. Now, the problem is that YouTube seems to have a reactive policy rather than proactive. For example, when blue chip advertisers complained about content and it became public, YouTube shut down and or demonetized channels and videos with little or no warning, imposing arbitrary guidelines that were difficult for creators to follow. But now, creators face a much more daunting challenge as YouTube seemingly is attempting to shift its responsibility for violating federal law onto its creators. Now, this video won't go into the controversy surrounding free speech issues in YouTube, but it is relevant to recall YouTube taking down a Behind the Titantron video concerning documented sexual harassment and other allegations made against Vince McMahon. It appears that someone in WWE claimed that we violated copyright in producing the video, but when we disputed this, YouTube put it back on. This past behavior and similar experiences by YouTube creators have them understandably concerned, as the video sharing platform seems eager to profit from creators, but are equally ready to throw them under the bus rather than taking the responsibility for their own errors in judgment. But firstly, what is COPPA? Well, as the internet began to grow in popularity, Congress passed the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act of 1998, aka COPPA, a law designed to protect children from having their personal information used by predators. However, when lawmakers caught up with technological advances, it became obvious that cookies allowed data collectors to obtain children's information without parental consent. According to the law firm Morrison Foerster's page on the COPPA/FTC/YouTube case, the COPPA rule requires operators of child-directed websites and online services to provide notice and obtain parental consent before collecting personal information from children under the age of 13. The COPPA rule was amended in 2013 to, among other things, expand the definition of personal information to include persistent identifiers that collect information about a user's online activity and use that information to serve targeted ads to the user. Now, the 2013 amendment focused on the identifiers commonly known as cookies, with lawmakers arguing that cookies contain a child's information and can be sent without anyone's knowledge, hence the requirement for parental consent. Now, YouTube took a route used by some social media platforms, stating it barred anyone under 13 years of age from using its site, hence there was no violation of COPPA. But over time, child advocacy groups argued against this, noting the ever-increasing number of YouTube videos aimed at children. Google and YouTube knowingly and illegally monitored, tracked, and served targeted ads to young children just to keep advertising dollars rolling in, New York AG Letitia James, a Democrat, said in a statement. These companies put children at risk and abuse their power, which is why we are imposing major reforms to their practices and making them pay one of the largest settlements for a privacy matter in US history. Finally, the Federal Trade Commission, i.e. the FTC, took action, with the New York State Attorney General's office joining suit. The FTC listed some of YouTube's accused practices. The complaint notes that the defendants knew that YouTube platform had numerous child-directed channels. YouTube marketed itself as a top destination for kids in presentations to makers of popular children's products and brands. For example, Google and YouTube told Mattel, maker of Barbie and Monster High toys, that YouTube is today's leader in reaching children aged 6 to 11 against top TV channels, and told Hasbro, which makes My Little Pony and Play-Doh, that YouTube is the #1 website regularly visited by kids. Several channel owners told YouTube and Google that their channel's consent was directed to children, and in other instances, YouTube's own content rating system identified content as directed to children. In addition, according to the complaint, YouTube manually reviewed children's content from its YouTube platform to feature it in its YouTube Kids app. Despite this knowledge of channels directed to children on the YouTube platform, YouTube served directed advertisements on these channels. According to the complaint, it even told one advertising company that it did not have users younger than 13 on its platform, and therefore channels on its platform didn't need to comply with COPPPA. The evidence allegedly showed YouTube targeted kids, even developing an algorithm to target kids and, more importantly, their cookies. YouTube settled a case this year, agreeing to following the FTC's mandated requirements and pay a $170 million fine, but there are many unanswered questions. The decree imposes new restrictions on creators. According to an article at The Verge, YouTube channels with content made for children face the following changes. Child-directed videos will no longer include a comment section, click-through info cards, end screens, notification functions, and the community tab, all powerful tools for driving viewers back to the channel. YouTube also pledged to use machine learning and flagged algorithms to locate child-directed videos that may have been mislabeled. Creators won't be able to appeal those decisions, though a YouTube spokesperson said the company will be listening to feedback. If the algorithms aren't effective, YouTube could stop using them entirely and face no threat from the FTC for doing so, leaving creators solely accountable and open to potentially life-altering fines from the government. Yeah, that fine. Mislabeling a single video as not child-oriented content could land you with a $42,000 fine. Now we have over 1,000 videos, and if we just even have 3 flagged, that could be an over $100,000 fine, which is pretty ridiculous. Creators who make content for kids will also find their video revenue substantially reduced. What is more disturbing is that YouTube seems to be setting creators up for legal troubles, as the exact terms of their responsibility is unknown. For example, consider the following message from YouTube. We're unable to confirm whether or not your content is made for kids. That decision is up to you, taking into consideration these factors. Now these could be a number of things. The subject matter of the video, i.e. is it educational content for preschoolers, whether children are your intended or actual audience for the video, whether the video includes child actors or models, whether they include characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures, whether the language of the video is intended for children to understand, and this may include play acting, songs, or even sports. Now, what's the point of including characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures, that concerns us the most? Is wrestling intended for kids? Look at characters like John Cena. He may appeal to children and he's a big celebrity, but then again, does he? Which audience is wrestling really targeted at? Wrestling is certainly classified as PG as of late, even though they're trying to get even more edgier. But will the machine learning know this? And what about the FTC? Will they regard wrestling as kids' content? Now, YouTube has notified creators they need to mark whether their videos are made for adults or children. In cases where a channel produces some videos for adults and some videos for children, each video must be marked appropriately. But with wrestling channels, it's not so easy. Now, unfortunately, when YouTube consented to the decree, they agreed to allow for random checks of videos to determine if the videos are indeed for kids or adults. But again, the rules are so ambiguous, and the factors in determining whether a video is for children or adults is still unclear. Consider the following comment from Ariel Johnson of the children's advocacy group Common Sense. It would certainly be more helpful for protecting children and being something that the FTC could enforce and something that families could rely upon as trustworthy if YouTube was taking a bigger role and helping to identify content and was more transparent about the consequences and rules with creators. But how much will YouTube really do to protect children, and will it try to shift responsibility to creators with the following requirements, many of which are vague and ambiguous? Again, when we look at music, what music doesn't appeal to kids, and many celebrities are appealing to kids even if the video is not about kids themselves. But as disturbing as YouTube's business practices may be, a New York Times article from 3rd June 2019 suggests YouTube chose not to take all the steps it could to protect children's videos from being recommended to possible pedophiles. YouTube has not put in place the one change that researchers say would prevent this from happening again, turning off its recommendation system on videos of children, though the platform can identify such videos automatically. The company said that because recommendations are the biggest traffic driver, removing them would hurt creators who rely on those clicks. It did say it would limit recommendations on videos that it deems as putting children at risk. Well, at the end of the day, YouTube is not the only social media platform and a website to fell the FTC's wrath. In early 2019, BitBite agreed to pay $5.7 million for violating COPPPA requirements with its TikTok app. But what can you do? Well, there is an online petition being assembled and sent to FTC. Keep in mind that many creators, such as ourselves, make their videos to make a living, and it's because of this they can produce so much content as opposed to someone working a job and making videos in their spare time. YouTube throwing the burden on its creators for its past infractions is unjust and another example of corporate greed and disdain for the law. We encourage you to learn more about this and to support us by signing the online petition in the description down below. Also, we've started to put a disclaimer in all our videos that these videos are not intended for children under the age of 13. And indeed, some of our content is a bit risque. Also, be sure to check out your demographics in the YouTube analytics. Now, if we look at ours, children under the age of 13 are not our targeted audiences. In fact, our higher demographic is those who are 25 and over, but with the lack of information at the moment, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, we're telling you this, of course, because there will be some changes on the platform. We will probably post more risque content, and possibly swear in a few videos to show that this is not a kids channel. We will also be contacting a lawyer to discuss this further. I will post the link to this video on Twitter, so please tag any channels that might find this video useful. We hope we've cleared up a few things as well. We genuinely hope this is not the end of the channel. Now, we don't want you to donate any money or anything like that, but what you can do is to support the channel by liking the videos and sharing them to as many people as possible. As always, leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope I'll be back for some more wrestling content.